Cover B'ezrat Hashem, the cover the Hilig of Shabbos, the cover Purim. So many fun so many fun things coming ahead. Shovavim, the midst of Shovavim, what an opportune time to connect to ourselves, reconnect to ourselves, expanded consciousness, connection to God, the whole thing, deepening everything. And we're entering the month of Shvat. Whew! Tu B'Shvat. The month of Tu B'Shvat. Shvat Hashem. We should all taste the fruits of Eretz Yisrael and mamish work on the Avot of eating. Very big Indian. So Tefillah B'Shem Koyasah for Pesach Reuven Ben Yisaf Asar Baruch Bas Yehudi Yisrael Bas Bas Ashir Bas Bas Hasan Reuven Ben Mani Tova Bas Perel Shaul Ben Chana Leah Svi Ben Chana Rivka Bas Razel and Ilui Nishmat Yehudis Bracha Bas Nehemiah. Okay. Bittul, surrender and attachment to God. Open up your great light to us, the light that has no end. The Or Ein Sof, Ein Lo Sof, Orecha Hagadol Asher Ein Lo Sof, V'nizkeh Kalel Bo B'Ratzov Ashov, and let us be merged in it in the matter of running and returning, especially during our prayers. Help us be truly attached and surrounded to you, to the point that all independent ego will be erased and that we will completely separate ourselves from materialistic thoughts and desires. When Hashem wants to help, no obstacle can stand in His way. We may be coarsely materialistic as a result of our deep exile under the lust of the body and its evil traits. We are bound to our body like a chained, tormented prisoner. In spite of this, you are mighty and abundantly able to save. For you, nothing is impossible. We confidently wait, hope and expect that you'll show your great abundant compassion and grant us everything we have asked of you. Let us nullify all of our bodily lusts and evil traits completely. Let us transcend all material thoughts and desires until we become genuinely merged in you all of our days to the fullest extent possible in this life, until the day when you will finally take back our soul. And then you'll be lovingly bring us to be merged in you forever. No sin or transgression will hold us back, because in your abundant kindness, awesome mercy, you will forgive us for everything. B'ezrat Hashem. Tefillah B'Shem Yisrael. Halacha l'maisa. If one has an invalid Megillah scroll or Chumash before him, he should not read along with the reader, because if he's reading, he will be unable to concentrate and listen to the reader. Furthermore, if he will be able to concentrate and hear the reader, perhaps another person will hear his reading and will not concentrate on listening to the reader of the reader. Likewise, no one should assist the reader by reading to him the words with the proper cantillations by heart. Therefore, with regard to 4 verses of redemption that the congregation customarily recites out loud, the reader must go back and read them from the valid Megillah scroll after the congregation finishes reciting them, so that the congregation hears each word from the reader. If he does not go back, they have nonetheless fulfilled their obligation. So that's Hashem noted in the Mishnah Brura. Okay, chapter 3, Mishnah 4, Chevra. What a revelation today, and we'll see what we mean in a second. So this is my first time really reading and learning the Pirkei Avot. Baruch Hashem, Ages Chut. We're on chapter 3, Mishnah 4, if you guys are following along. And at the beginning of each one, we're seeing a different sage that is a tzaddik from Chazal, that are giving us these beautiful, beautiful sayings and these advice. And we never really delve into the names, frankly, because I don't really know the names, right? I know very few of them, and the very few that I know very little about. But Art Scroll, Baruch Hashem for Art Scroll, we said this last night, I think, or a couple nights ago, Baruch Hashem for the Tzaddikim who are giving us Such amazing information. I don't know if you guys got this book. It's called The Introduction to the Talmud. Have to look into it. Have to go through it. Mamish Pella Playim in there. Goes through each sage. It's unbelievable. In the entire Gemara, every single name, and the famous teachings and stories pertaining to that name, and the structure of the Gemara, the history of the Gemara, the oral and the written Torah. It's the structure of the Gemara. It's unbelievable. And I gotta look into it more. But I opened up the article on Pirkei Avot, and it literally gives something short about the name. So tonight we're going through Rabbi Chanina ben Chachinai. So student Rabbi Akiva. And now that Samson comes on, we got to start. So Rabbi Chachinai ben Chachinai. Samson, great to see you. Samson, great to see you, my friend.
Abislos Duchkut. I'm going to Ma'ariv now. I love you guys.
I love you too. Great to see you.
You can speak, start.
He was the fourth generation of the Tanaim. Rabbi Chanina was a student of Rabbi Akiva and studied both the revealed Torah and esoteric portions of Maaseh Bereshis and Maaseh HaMerkava. So Samson, we're giving just a quick informational background of Rabbi Chanina ben Chachinai, student of Rabbi Akiva. Before we actually get into before we get to the Mishnah. So I know you learned Chagiga 14b. So here recites his devotion to the study of Torah, how legendary it was. He left his home for 12 years. However, this is mamish unbelievable, just giving us a little insight into these tzaddikim. So he left his home for 12 years in order to pursue his studies undisturbed. Finally, his wife sent him a message. Your daughter is of marriageable age. Return home and arrange for her marriage. When he returned, he did not recognize the streets of the town, which had been expanded in his absence, and he could not find his way home. He sat down to rest and suddenly heard someone calling out, "Daughter of Chanai, fill up your pitcher." Realizing it was his daughter, he followed her home. His wife, shocked to see him, passed away. He prayed for resurrection, and his prayer was miraculously granted. And if you want to see more, see Masechet Ketuvos 62b and Vayikra Rabbah. Rabbi Chanina's wife, who was committed loyally to her husband and his spiritual growth, was admired as a quintessential woman who loved the Torah. Her husband was one of the 10 martyrs killed by the Romans. So, however, we just see Tzchiyat HaMeitim through his prayers. Unbelievable. I don't know how many times in Torah this actually happened, but we see here. Unbelievable. Pray for resurrection, and his prayer was miraculously granted. Got to go through that daf. Amazing. So Rabbi Chanina says, he who stays awake at night and who walks the road alone and who turns his heart to naught, he is responsible for his soul. So at first glance, right, we speak about, the nighttime, we speak about walking alone and who turns his heart to naught. The digestive commentary says, according to one view, right, this is the Bartanur. According to one view, each of these three behaviors endangers a person either physically or spiritually. According to another view, the night is a time of danger, and traveling alone is also dangerous. But if a person is either in either situation were to occupy his thoughts with Torah, the Torah would protect him from harm. Torah protects from harm. Simple as that. We also see that he who stays awake at night, we see this as a danger, like the Bartanur was explaining how this could be a time of danger, right? The husks come out, the Sahara is at its peak. It's complete dark, right? It's our job to reveal the light, right? As we saw with Hanukkah, right? So Rabbi Nachman points out the Avot of Hipodadut, and we can actually just share the story. So Rav Naftali, a young chassid, Rav Naftali, who was a close, as a young chassid, Rav Naftali Svi Dubinsky became a close follower of Rav Yaakov of Zidimir, one of the Breslever Ovdim, who explained to him the practice of going into the forest at night for Hibodedut and crying out to God in order to draw close to Him. Right. So Rabbi Nachman talks about this Avot of Hibodedut a lot, and how at night, going to the forest, blades of grass, the whole thing. The first night that Rabbi Naftali went to the forest with his mentor, he heard screams that frightened him so much that he feared Rabbi Yaakov had been attacked by murderers. Running swiftly toward his teacher, he soon saw that Rabbi Yaakov was safe. "What danger made you scream so terribly?" Rabbi Naftali asked. Rabbi Yaakov replied, That's the way you too would scream if you really felt the danger of the evil inclination, how it keeps trying to snuff out the spiritual life of a person. The evil inclination, Anay Chavra, is there to attack us, even amidst the Hibodedut. Right, so we always have to be aware. Something I want to mention here is Rav Aaron Cutler explained the metaphor of a crown. A royal crown from which one diamond is missing is fatally flawed. It is not merely a diamond that is missing, the entire crown is imperfect. Likewise, the totality of commitment required for Torah study does not allow for even one wasted night. The beauty of the crown lies in its completeness. So one crown is missing, the whole thing is incomplete. Therefore, at night, it may seem on an external level that it's time for sleep, right? Sleep a lot of hours, maybe even eat, get involved in watching TV. But Dafka, this is the moment to involve ourselves in Torah study, into holy acts, into holy things. Right? We see Tikkun Chatzot, the vote of Tikkun Chatzot, and the likes. And we see like this at the end of this Mishnah. He is responsible for his soul. So says Rav in the art scroll, by turning his heart to idleness and not utilizing the situations described in the Mishnah to engage in Torah in study, right? Staying up at night, walking along the road alone, right? That's could be to Hibodedut. He exposes himself to danger, has only himself to blame. Right? So this is unbelievable. Like these situations here, mamish chitzonius things, outside things, shallow things. It's just a layer. And if we're involved in chitzoni things, if we're involved in materialistic things, these three things that are mentioned, right? Staying awake at night, the night time itself, right? Walking along the road alone, right? Those screams that seem like real screams, but really they're the evil inclination, and who turns his heart to naught. These things will actually harm us. These things will actually hurt us. It's like in Sicha Vav of Rabbi Nachman, right? The prankster who walks around with his fist closed. It's just a chitzoni thing. He's running around the crowd. Guys, look at my hand. Look at my. It's enticing. And we involve ourselves in that avoda, right? And we open up the hand, and it's nothing. It's mamish nothing. But we fell for it. We mamish fell for it. So we are responsible. So it also means here that Rabbeinu Yonah said he's morally guilty for the squandered spiritual opportunity, since no legitimate justification exists for the waste of precious time. So we have to know just another thing, that it's just a reiteration of what we've been saying, but really this time at night, it's such an opportune time to know the value of time, right? Of Torah study, right? The depth of Torah study. By involving ourselves in one moment of Torah study in the nighttime, we are canceling the husks. We are canceling what may seem like the outside, the nighttime, and walking around alone, feeling lonely, right? Turning our hearts to naught. Just one moment of Torah, right? Completing that crown, says Rav Aaron Cutler, will realize the power of Torah, how it could literally cancel all things. It protects us, like we learned earlier, from everything. So if we're awake at night and we're not involved in Torah, it could harm us. But if we're involved in Torah, it doesn't harm us. If we're walking along the road alone without Torah, it will harm us, right? Who knows, robbers, this and that, and screams, scary ghosts, scary people. it will harm us. Torah doesn't harm us. He who turns his heart to not, chitzoni, will harm us. Torah not. And if not, if we don't involve ourselves with this Torah, then we are responsible for our soul by not using that precious time. And we learned all this by Rav Yonah, Rav Chanina, right? The Rambam. It's mamash unbelievable. All the tzaddikim. B'ezrat Hashem, we should be zocha to involve ourselves into the Holy Torah, and to know that every single moment is just a chariot. It's a way to get to Hashem. It's a springboard to get closer to the Ribbon Shalom. B'ezrat Hashem, we should be zocha.